This is Danny Ceballos with Unleashed Consulting and your best boss, Take 5. Now, if you've been following me for a while, you know that the Take 5s have evolved. I've listened to what you've said and what you've asked for and tried to make these Take 5s as pointed and useful as possible, not only for you as a middle core manager or leader, but also for my senior executives, CEOs, senior directors, all of you who are following me that have these senior levels. So what I want to do today is introduce something that, again, is super helpful no matter who you are and what kind of leadership role that you have. And that's how to be more productive. If you're going to be the most effective leader that you can be, you need to have a handle on how you yourself organize your work and your productivity, how you think about your work and your productivity. It's so easy to go into a default of checking off the list, which is great, right? Checking off the list. There's a lot of good research that says checklists are really important. But there's more to that. There's something about some other tools and strategies that you can use to really get yourself to a place of being uber productive. So the first of these things is it's a methodology that I've started using that I find incredibly useful, called the Pomodoro method for productivity and time management. And essentially what the Pomodoro method is, it says that you think about the kind of work, the work that you need to do, whether it's preparing a budget, preparing a talk, getting ready for your supervision one-on-ones, whatever that is. Usually it's something that we don't necessarily do easily or can really get into it really quickly. So it tends to be those challenging things. And what we do is we set a timer. Ideally, it's not a timer that you usually use, like on your computer or on your phone. Maybe it's an outside timer. I actually use a kitchen timer. You can't see it here. Yeah, a little kitchen timer. And you set the timer for 25 minutes. It has to be 25 minutes. Again, all the work and the research that's gone into this says that block of time is where we can really be most likely to command our brains, our minds to really focus. So for 25 minutes, you set in, you do the work. And at the end of the 25 minutes, you take a 5-minute break. You move away from the screen, you go away from what you're working with, breathe in some fresh air, do something else, and come back and then continue with the project, with the task, if it still needs to be continued. For me, it's just about, I just say, I'm going to work for 25 minutes and give myself a break. I set my timer and I just go into it. So sometimes it's a project, sometimes it's just work in general. After the second time, you want to give yourself a little bit longer of a break. So after you've worked basically an hour, you want to give yourself a 10-minute break. And you continue to do that for as long as you can throughout the day. I actually have found it super helpful, again, for upping my productivity by using it throughout the day. Whenever I'm not doing direct client work, I'm using the Pomodoro method for really staying productive. So that's the first thing. And you can imagine that the real benefits of that are not only that you have focused time with your work, but also that there's a break that you can time yourself for. I mean, there's all this mindset stuff that comes into it. So anyway, enough about the Pomodoro method. I really highly recommend it. Suggest you take a look at. The second thing to keep in mind is the context of your work. The context or the environment of your work. So from a systems perspective, which again, if you've been following me, you know I'm a huge fan of really always maintaining a systems perspective and working within the system. So from a systems perspective, we're having input and output and process in our work, right? So we bring in resources, we do the work, and we shoot out something else. What the system does, however, is that it interacts with the environment that it's in, right? Whatever kind of system. So when we're thinking about the system of you doing work with your input, your process, and your output, I want you to think about, what does your work environment look like? Is it optimized to have you be comfortable, to have you feel good, to not feel disorganized, to feel centered, Sometimes it's about, for me, it was about changing my desk. This is what I did. I did a refresh not too long ago of my cockpit. We couldn't call it my cockpit or my command center. And I want you to think of it, your workplace in that way too. Did a real refresh of my desk, my monitors, my environment, what I'm looking at, what I put in the background, the music or the news that I put in the background of my work. I really was really like not just rolling into my command center, my cockpit, my desk, but instead being very clear on the kind of environment that I want that supports me. So ask yourself, do you come to work at your desk or wherever you work and come to a place where you feel like it is supporting you in every way possible? It's not just a default place. It's not just the desk that you were assigned, the room that you were assigned, but what are you doing to optimize the conditions and the environment so that you are at your most productive self? And then the third item that I want to bring to your attention is mindset. I did something over this past weekend that I'm super proud of. I actually rode in a fundraiser for Southern Tier AIDS program and did the AIDS Ride for Life. And here it is. The ride that I did was a 43 mile bike ride. I've never done anything like that before in my life. I've run, but I've never really biked more than a few miles. And it was hard. It was really hard. But something that occurred to me that it's so true for being our most productive selves is to come into the mindset and the appreciation of I'm here, I'm in this work, I'm committed to it, I'm giving everything that I can, and I'm pedaling one pedal at a time, one pedal at a time. Sometimes I had to push a bit, sometimes I had to pull a bit. A lot of times I had to remind myself that I am in this for the 43 miles and that I kept going, kept going, kept going. So I really want you to think about your mindset with productivity. What are you doing to support your mind so that you are your most productive self? Okay, I've gone over my 5 minutes. Thanks for sticking with me on this Take 5. Please let me know if you'd like to hear some other things in the Take 5. Would love to hear from you. The next series of Take Fives will be all around team building. So I hope you'll join me for our next 3 Take Fives. Look for your Unleashed Consulting Take 5 in your inbox in about 2 weeks. All right, take good care, everybody, and wonderful to have you here. Hope I get to hear from you soon, and be your most productive self. Be your most productive self. Take good care. Bye now.